What's up, everybody? I'm Jason Visenberg.
And I'm Michael Visenberg.
Welcome to Viseland. Got a great week of basketball going on right now. Mikey, what's on your radar? What are your thoughts?
We have a mediocre to possibly fledgling week of basketball because it is the All-Star break. And yeah.
I was returning to college being excited, that
Oh,
last
that's true.
conference
That is
tournament.
true. Even though that's winding down too. But yeah. We're excited for what's coming in college basketball and hoping that there is a NCAA tournament this year and everything works out for the best as far as that is concerned. But yeah, we found out a little bit about the NBA All-Star break and the three-point contestants, Jason. We found out about that.
Well,
We found
the All-Star game. They're just like, hey, you're around.
Yeah, well, I am happy. Personally, I'm happy whenever it's like the best players.
It's like the best players. That's what you want to see, the best players competing at things that they're
like, as much as I'd like to see Joe Harris and some other flamethrower like Duncan Robinson, throw him in there. It's I think it's cool that it's all stars going up against each other. At the same time, I knew as soon as the dunk contest format was announced that it was going to be a different year, and they made that evidently clear.
Yeah.
With who they announced for the dunk contest. And it appears that our three contestants this year are a couple rookies and a third-year player. We have Obi Toppin from the New York Knicks. We have Cassius Stanley from the Indiana Pacers, sort of. And we have Anthony Simons from the Portland Trailblazers, who is volunteering as tribute to Derek Jones, who was the champion at last year's NBA dunk contest, which still happened. Like, if we kind of, everything was a little bit of a blur shortly after that, but yeah, still went down. I am not overly excited about this dunk contest, but at the same time, I'm not overly excited about this All-Star weekend. It's just,
I have to say, for like all the All-Star weekends, in like, yeah, this is like the least exciting in just the fact of like, yeah, I'm not that jazzed to necessarily care, especially about the dunk contest, 3-point contest.
Yeah. Well, I think fan reaction is always such a huge part of it. And then the other thing is, and right before I got on here, I had a whole conversation with a friend and asking why Zion Williamson isn't going to be in the dunk contest. It's his best chance and so on. I'm like, first off, why is it his best chance? That made no sense to me.
He doesn't have anything. He only has things like he can gain a little bit by like going into dunk contest dominating. He could also lose a lot by being that guy that needs to do the same dunk like 45 times.
I'm not
he would be
necessarily there with that. So we'll get into that a little bit, but we'll get into that when we discuss what we're going to discuss. But yeah, this episode we're going to talk a little bit about dunkers, dunk contests, a little stuff like that, just for the fun of it. And so the thing I wanted to say with Zion Williamson is with the dunk contest. So the dunk contest this year is going to be during halftime of the NBA All-Star game. Why would Zion Williamson be in a dunk contest during halftime of an All-Star game that he's in is a great question. And to me, that is why no All-Star is in it and why it's the three players that we have who I'm guessing are probably like fine dunk contest contestants, but at the same time, none of them are laying the world on fire. And I'm guessing that we may very well forget this year ever had a dunk contest. Like you and I, when we were going over some of the dunk contests, do you remember that yesterday how you said like Paul George and John Wall had never been in a dunk contest? Yeah. Paul George had definitely been in a dunk contest and dunked over Roy Hibbert. And John Wall had won a dunk contest. So that's how well we remember that. And dude, I'm not blaming you because I honestly forgot about it too.
Like for me, like again, like growing up, like the All-Star weekend was this like religious experience of like watching everything, like thinking about everything. they kind of lost me at those years, like those kind of, I'm thinking of the Nate Robinson / Birdman years where
we'll talk about some of those too. Yeah.
But then it's like 45 tries later. It's like,
Oh man, the
yeah.
insane amount of tries and like, yeah, the no try limit, that was all crazy. But yeah, we're just going to get it. First off, with these contestants, Obadiah Toppin last year at Dayton was the College Player of the Year, and he led the NCAA in dunks at 107. This year in the NBA so far, they seem to have him basically. I haven't watched a ton of Knicks, but I hear that they kind of have him being Channing Frye, which seems like it's really too bad, and they're not utilizing him to, I think, the best of his abilities at the very least right now, even though the Knicks are doing pretty well. But yeah, so Obi right now, 16 dunks on the year. Anthony Simons, 2 dunks on the year. Cassius Stanley has only played 9 games, and I'm guessing about like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. Fewer than that. He's played 23 minutes, and he has 9 points on the season. The thing with Cassius Stanley is he can fly. And that, like, the guy's going to be a great dunk contest contestant, and kind of like almost in like, I would say in dunk terms, like similar maybe to like a Hamidou Diallo, like that kind of thing. Yeah. So Cassius, what Cassius was well known for at Duke last year, he had 31 dunks as a freshman at Duke last season, and he was known at the beginning of the season. Now, I never got like the direct like kind of deal out of this, but he apparently broke Zion Williamson's like highest vert reach record, which I am not sure about, and I don't know exactly, because to me, from what I've heard over the years, and I think from what like data that we had on Cassius Stanley, he seemed to have the weird like short standing reach for a guy who's 6'6". So I don't know if it was his vertical being higher than Zion Williamson's vertical, which is very possible if Zion Williamson does have like a 6 or 7 inch longer standing reach than him. But nonetheless, Cassius Stanley, great athlete, great dunk contest dunker, and we'll get into that as well. But yeah, what we want to really address is we're going to definitely choose. Jason and I are going to bet big money on this dunk contest. So much money, like way too much money. And the ultimate thing is we're only going to be able to bet on 2 of the contestants. So we're just hoping that the third guy wins and we don't have to pay each other. But yeah, we're each going to choose one person, and I'll even let you choose first, man. But
I'll choose, but I don't have a lot of confidence.
Yeah, but we want to get into some dunkers, and the thing that we want to start with is we have 5 players currently. We want to go over 5 players currently in the NBA who we would like to see in the dunk contest at some point. And this year, it certainly wasn't going to happen. But I just think it would be great to get even now, like get one of these players in. The odds of it pretty low. And as we've seen, like the dunk contest is a young man's game. And so usually if you haven't entered it after your first few years, the chances of you entering it grow less and less. But unless you're kind of like I would say more for stars than anything else. But yeah, we will start off with 5 players that we would like to see in the dunk contest. And Jason, let's just start with you. Who is a player that you would like to see in the dunk contest?
The aforementioned very high vertical of Zion Williamson. Like,
yes.
Be pretty, again, because did he do the high school dunk contest?
He did. He did the McDonald's All-American dunk contest. He won the dunk contest. It was, I would say, like, it was pretty exciting. Like, but I don't think it was anything like, yeah, like I don't think it was one of the greatest dunk contests ever done at the high school McDonald's level. But nonetheless, seeing Zion Williamson, who is known for his finishing around the basket, his ability to dunk, his kind of being this incredible presence in the paint, and and not only that, like
the power ratio for
yeah,
him.
the power, vertical athleticism, which is something that like I think is a real thing about being able to dunk in games. And I think the most fun people in the dunk contest are usually people that are able to dunk in games as well. And it's not easy to dunk in an NBA game. And sometimes like amazing athletes don't necessarily, like crazy dunk contest guys don't necessarily get tons of in-game dunks. So yeah, like there have been some great dunk contest winners who I think have very few in-game dunks, but Zion would be one who obviously would have quite a few. He's just, like you're saying, like combination of power, agility, like speed, the whole deal. He would, I think it would be really tough to take the dunk contest away from him if he entered. It would all be in his favor.
Attention to like you. Yeah, he's the kind of player that's like poised for one of those kind of moments. You know, just like throw down, get the whole gym going crazy. But yeah, like obviously this year at halftime of an All-Star game that he's playing in, he's probably gonna have some pretty good dunks in that All-Star game. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. And I'm guessing from here on out, now that he's at that All-Star level, probably will never enter a dunk contest.
Yeah, and like that's certainly possible also. One thing I will say about this year where I'm giving everybody a pretty hard pass, and as we see by the three guys who aren't setting the world on fire entering the dunk contest this season, the other thing that is, I would say, a huge factor of the dunk contest and for being in it at all is having the live fans and having the people there. Like that to me is a huge reason of, like, you know, I watched a great dunk contest right before and seeing the players go crazy, seeing Michael Keaton, seeing like the whole deal. And yeah, that was I think a big factor, and I think a reason why this dunk contest, as I was telling some people as soon as they found out the contestants, I was saying that this is a year to basically go in with the anticipation that anything above average is a win.
Yeah.
But yeah, so beyond Zion Williamson, who is another player that you think might be a good dunk contest entry?
I think, and honestly, you know, because he hasn't gotten to that All-Star playing level, maybe Andrew Wiggins.
I agree. I will say that Andrew Wiggins has never been like the biggest in-game dunker, has had some good ones. He the dunk over Jokic. He definitely like he's another one who is just an amazing combination of speed and athleticism, and was always so bouncy, and like his ability to basically get his head at the rim and on a fairly consistent basis. So he did compete in the McDonald's All-American Dunk Contest as well. I felt he was kind of robbed, but he ended up, I don't think he made the finals. I think the finals was between Aaron Gordon and the player who ended up winning. And Aaron Gordon is like always the bridesmaid.
Yeah, he's
in the dunk contest. Like it's just absolutely crazy. But the player who ended up winning was Chris Walker. Not the greatest in terms of the NBA prestige. I think the player that won the first McDonald's All-American Dunk Contest, and this is a player who I used to just kind of throw out as kind of like first off, his name is very funny. And second, he is like an ultimate like role player. Okay, so he wasn't the first winner, but Matt Staginga won the McDonald's All-American Dunk Contest in 1988.
Dang.
A year later, it was won by a player who eventually did compete in the dunk contest, James Hollywood Robinson. So yeah, very funny.
There's not the direct correlation necessarily always between dunk contest excellence and playing, but yeah, I think like Andrew Wiggins is still at this point too, where he's like kind of young enough. Like, I mean, obviously most likely wouldn't, but he's not like too old that he can't really get up and do something cool.
Oh yeah. Right. I just think it would be a lot of fun. And the dunk that he always was really good at was like having the ball basically go behind his back and being able to do aerial moves like with that as a factor. Like it would, Andrew would do a couple dunks that would be very cool. And he's super bouncy. Like for a 6'8" player, I think he'd be a very good contestant. So yeah, completely agree with that one. Moving on, a player that I think everybody was really hoping for. And he didn't do it last year, but Moran is a player who's never done the dunk contest yet. And I think at some point is a player that I think you're hoping does the dunk contest.
Jump overs last year too, like in games.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, Jaw, amazing 2-foot leaper. Like just goes for it all the time. So yeah, it's, he does only have 12 dunks this season. He had 49 as a rookie, but he is somebody that not only I believe is going to be an all-star, but just is one of the more exciting and flashy young players in the league. And yeah, I think by next year when I think will certainly be in the running to be an NBA all-star, it would be a lot of fun if Moran entered the dunk contest. We don't know if he's going to yet, but I just have a feeling that he would be a very fun entry and would be able to really get the fans hyped because he's one of the more exciting players in the league. He'll have that reputation with him. And I think that really is what gets the fans who are watching and the fans who are hopefully there into it.
That's for sure. No, like it's just like quick, but yeah, like 2-foot leaping, like that's always something that just can be cool for dunk contest. That ability to just get up super quickly that he does have. And like speaking of that, like the next guy that I would say, again, that would be cool to dunk contest a little past his real prime for that to happen is Russell Westbrook.
Yes. Russ is always, it's kind of crazy that Russ has never been it. And to me, Russ is always one of those guys who maybe the other person I'd put in this category as well as Dwayne Wade. And they're both guys who I think during like the NBA combine, they tested at sub 40-inch verticals, but you just feel like with a head of steam, like they're going through anybody. And the rate that they dunked was pretty much greater than almost any guards in the game, like year by year when they were playing. Yeah, Russ is just he's a fantastic athlete, electrifying player. He's somebody who I just feel like even though he is like 32 right now, you would really love to see him in a dunk contest. Like to me, I feel like Russ now would be a lot of fun to be in a dunk contest, and it would certainly make it interesting.
And I think like he's got his kind of personality too that the fans like buy into. But yeah, I just remember when he was at UCLA, like I was at a UCLA Oregon game here in Los Angeles, and he basically had like an insanely demoralizing dunk. It just literally was like, okay, this game is not meant to be played by the other team. Like because he brings that kind of like barrel of steam with him like to the basket, and I think like that's what's something that's pretty exciting for dunk contest. And I think he still has that athletic ability, so to just be like a fun kind of thing for the fans to see. But again, like especially if he's not really playing in the games as much anymore, like all-star game, it's like
yeah,
become just
I think some of the best dunk contest winners haven't been playing in the all-star game that year.
I think like at this point of his career, like it's different when you're like young.
Very true. Yeah.
Like
just give him a break.
Yeah. This point is
I'm guessing Russ probably still goes to the all-star game like in a normal year, even if he doesn't make it. But I'm not sure. Maybe he wouldn't. I don't know.
Fan favorite of the show, Steven Adams. He doesn't. He just goes to like his farm and kicks it.
Love it. I have no problems with
That was the
saying
year he was going to make the All-Star team, and he's like, "Oh, are you going to be like sad if you don't get it?" He's like, "No, I kind of want the weekend off."
Yeah, I totally believe that. A funny statistic that I just looked up is because you think about Russell Westbrook, you think about that draft, and it was Russ and Derrick Rose, and they're both were such athletic guards. Derrick Rose during his rookie season had 19 dunks. Russell Westbrook had 59. That just shows like the strength difference. Obviously, Russ is a little bit bigger as well, but yeah, it's just kind of crazy to think that Russell Westbrook had that many more dunks than Derrick Rose. Almost like how crazy it was last year that when Zion Williamson finally did decide to play, I think he ended up having because Ja had 49 dunks as a rookie, and I think Zion might have topped that or at least came close. He had 58.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep him below the rim. Like,
very different roles, of course. Like, yeah, very different players. Zion is 100 pounds more than Ja and taller, of course. But yeah, just kind of funny. But yeah, like Ja having those 49 dunks as a rookie was amazing. And Russ having 59 is amazing as well. Obviously was able to play more games.
But I think the ultimate player that everybody wants to see in a dunk contest, and this person did participate in the McDonald's All-American Dunk Contest.
He did.
Basically blew the roof off of the gymnasium.
He did.
And it's crazy because, again, at his age, still insanely athletic and still could do it. It's not like he's lost his steps. It's LeBron James.
Yes. LeBron, as much as people will say, oh, he's not like the most creative dunker and everything like that, that may be true.
He literally pulled that same Kobe dunk, and that's like a pretty stylish little.
He did. He's just always been such, like when you're talking about that combination, he is the speed, strength, agility,
he was like his chest was like above the roof.
Yeah.
Like a signature dunk as well.
The McDonald's All-American Game dunk contest, you go back and you look at his dunks. I remember even some people at the time saying like, Shannon Brown like kind of got robbed, whatever it was. LeBron, he got his head at the rim. He was LeBron freaking James. Like he was going to win the dunk contest. Oh, no, totally. And I also think that he
like, that's the thing. Like he's a performer that he like knows what's put on his environment. Like they're like, you watch that video, it's like they're playing in the club, 50 Cent, it was like the new song at the time. He's like pumping everybody up, and he just goes like half of his body's above the rim, and just like his signature kind of dunk man, like kind of cocks it back with that like the one hand.
It was my freshman year of college, and that was the first time I had ever seen a live thing of LeBron James. Like I had never seen any of his other games or anything like that before. I didn't have cable in college, and I lived in Canada, so those were
YouTube. I mean, it's not like there was like a lot, as much video.
YouTube, I don't even think YouTube was around.
No, it wasn't. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you had like a lot of chance to watch tons of video on certain guys that it's kind of out of your jurisdiction.
Yeah, so that was the first time I had ever gotten a chance to see him, and I was blown away by it. The athleticism, the speed, everything. And then the next night watching him in the actual McDonald's All-American Game, where he was just like a man among boys, and his court sense, like everything, you could just see right away that he was a really special player and prospect. And it would have been cool to see him in a dunk contest. I remember in 2010 he was talking about entering, and it just never ended up happening. But here's something I'd like to throw out. Is it like, so people talk about the best players ever, like, entering the dunk contest. They talk about like, Dr. J, Michael Jordan, one of the best dunk contestants ever, Dominique Wilkins, and Kobe. Yeah. So Kobe winning the dunk contest. Do you think the dunk contest is now like a little less glamorized because we get to see these guys play on such a consistent basis? Like, do you think the fact that we can watch these guys on a much more consistent basis, like I feel like part of the whole glitz of the dunk contest was the fact that you didn't get to see these guys all the time. And now that you can kind of watch whatever you like at the drop of a dime, do you think that plays a part into maybe the dunk contest not being as big of a deal and as big of a part of the mystique?
Like small, but like to me, I think it more just comes down to like literally on some of these guys, it's just that ego of like, you can't have like say you take this year's dunk contest group, right? You have Obi Toppin, you have Cassius, you have Simons, and then LeBron James shows up and he loses. Like I don't think like mentally, like that's not on brand for him of what and again you think of course like odds are he would, like he does in games, show up and it would be, but like what if he doesn't? It's kind of would be, it's not gonna like cripple his career, but it's just again, I don't see him like being like, yay, I came in, like I participated.
Yeah. And I guess with LeBron, it might be different, but like, as we said, like, you have, and obviously not the same level of players, LeBron James, but you have some of these guys who we didn't even remember being in the dunk contest who are like perennial all-stars.
And like, but I think of like, like Zion, like I think of like him doing it, because didn't Blake lost a dunk contest too? Like he won, but he also,
I think he just won that one. I think that's all he did.
Like I think like something like that. It's like, okay, he does it. He can sell sneakers now. Like he's got his thing that helps him do something. But it's like if he also like, so for Zion, if he has that kind of like moment like Blake Griffin did, jumping over a car, cool. But then if he doesn't, or it doesn't go well, it's like, oh.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't know, and maybe this is like me, and like I don't know, maybe I'm not part of the whole don't jump with like the dunker kind of feeling of this, and I get the bruised ego, and I think that's a huge reason why a lot of these people don't enter the contest, and I don't blame them. It would be scary, and it's not necessarily something that you need to put a ton of time into. Trace McGrady literally got hurt during the dunk contest. Like, you have that factor as well. But yeah, with one other thing I want to throw out with that is Blake Griffin's dunk contest. So overrated and boring. Like, I know he jumped over the Kia and everything. This could be a hot take, but I hated the choir. I hated the Kenny Smith being like his guy. It was like when they got into the gimmicks, to me, that like the worst ever was the wheel. Do you remember the wheel of like?
There was the one where Dwight blew out a cupcake. I remember that.
That wasn't Dwight. That was Gerald Green.
Gerald Green? I thought it was Dwight.
Yeah, Gerald Green blew out the cupcake. Dwight did a bunch of other gimmicky bullshit.
Like he had the Superman cape on, and then he didn't really like actually.
I will admit that the Superman dunk, no, because to me, I'm cool. Like I love it when guys get up just super high. And on the Superman dunk, I know like he threw it through the basket, but he was so high. Like that's why Blake Griffin's dunk over Mozgov was so cool. He didn't even like technically like dunk and like hang on the rim or anything, like touch the rim. But he just threw it down, and I have no problems with those too. As much as I love seeing power, but yeah, I thought that Blake's dunk contest, and maybe I need to go back and watch it. I thought him dunking over the Kia was super. Like it just wasn't a fun dunk.
But the Kia is the official vehicle partner of the National Basketball Association. So
I did know that. Yeah,
brand ingenuity there. No, it's all right. I mean, it goes into like a lot of these gimmicks, and you're like, eh. I kind of do an eye roll. Like I accept Aaron Gordon for like the mascot spinning on the hoverboard thing.
Aaron Gordon did some awesome dunks.
Yeah, like to me, like I accept, awesome. But like yeah, like
Aaron Gordon. Is Aaron Gordon the best dunk contest contestant to never win a dunk contest? I honestly think he might be.
Yeah, for, like, as far as a dunk contest.
Yeah, like in
Yeah,
his performance in the contest, just straight up his performance in the contest.
yeah, it's pretty hard to think of anyone
Probably.
else that.
So we want to go over a few of our favorite dunk contests, and let's just start. We'll start with Aaron Gordon, Derek Jones Jr. last year. That was such a tough one. That was like really hard to.
And it's kind of sad it never kind of bounces his way. But yeah, again, like that blend of like having the power and like he does some crazy. He's done some crazy tricks. Like
They're both super awesome dunkers, and Derek Jones Jr. is just always like his aerial ability is just crazy, and he's like one of those rare people who's just so explosive off the floor that it doesn't matter that he's super skinny, like almost like kind of because Jeremy Evans won a dunk contest, and what Jeremy Evans used to do is like almost all of his baskets were dunks. Like, it was crazy. Like a huge percentage of his baskets were dunks. But Derek Jones Jr. does get some other baskets occasionally. The amount of dunks that he has for a player as skinny as he is, even with his being like 6'7" or so, is pretty impressive. So yeah, I thought last year's dunk contest was a very fun dunk contest.
it was very. Again, it made you think of the decision. Like you know, like you had like an opinion on the decision, and that's also another sign of like.
Yeah, for sure. Good point.
A good dunk.
Dwight being in it again would kind of sucked. Pat Connaughton, you finally got to see the guy with the highest vertical ever at the NBA draft combine, but he is a great athlete. The timeless Billy Hoyle impersonation that he did as well. Still wasn't the greatest, but yeah, I thought last year's was really good. And then another one we want to highlight, just in terms of being a great contestant of the dunk contest, is Dominique Wilkins. And I feel like he maybe should have won 3. I think he won 1.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, you know, comes up against Michael Jordan because he lost to Spud Webb as well.
That is another. So I'm gonna throw out another opinion that may not be popular. I think the little guys that have won have kind of screwed over some better dunkers.
I think like especially I think for Spud, it was a lot of the like, you know, similar to the contestants this year. It's like obviously he was not like one of the better players, you know, in the league. Like he wasn't going to make an all-star team, but it's just, yeah, it's that like difference of like, oh, he's so short, and oh my god, he's up here now. Like I think like that wow factor definitely helped him in that one because yeah, it's hard to like think
Spud
about.
Webb probably like never dunked in a game either.
Like,
that one, like I will admit the Spud one is cool, and I think he did a lot of them on his first attempt, and like he was super short, and like just the height difference between he and Dominique alone. But yeah, Dominique, I feel like one of the years that Michael Jordan won, he only had the one finals against Dominique Wilkins, and I think it was kind of like slanted towards him a little bit, which, you know, I always am with giving it to just the best player. And I think the fans certainly were happy with Michael Jordan winning. But ultimately, the dunk contest is so damn subjective. And like, yeah, like you can't, if you made too many like rules and regulations, I think it would just kind of ruin it also. Like, you know, oh, like how high does a guy jump? Or like, you know, how many 360s can he do?
Someone brings like something different, like Dominique, like just pure power. Just like
powerful and like also really explosive off the floor also.
Like with some like, you know, like he kind of had his little pump, like he had some good creativity with like just pure power and like
he didn't even have to do like anything too aerial, like as far as spins or anything like that. It was just him spinning the ball like that was the bringing the ball around. And yeah, that was it was very ball oriented, his dunks. And he was in the dunk contest 5 times and won twice. And yeah, he's just, if you want to see a fun dunk contestant before some of the other dunks were introduced. Like a dunk that was introduced that I think revolutionized the like dunk contest from here on out was what was known as the East Bay Funk Dunk by Isaiah Ryder, which eventually became just the dunk between the legs. But yeah,
that was a nickname.
countless contestants have done an iteration of that dunk from J.R. Ryder winning the dunk contest.
I think like the first kind of gimmicky that like or not gimmick, but just slightly different was the D Brown where he kind of like covered his eyes.
The really corny thing about the D Brown one, it's like it's kind of cool, but yeah, like he took his arm and put it over his eyes. You can still kind of see out of that. Like, I don't think he was blind.
Yeah. It was like visually impaired.
And then Cedric Ceballos did the blindfold, which everybody says he could see through. And I hope he could see through, because I'm going to tell a story. When I was at camp, I was an idiot. And I had a blindfold that we had gotten when we went on the flight somewhere. I got in the blindfold. And I started to do the blindfold dunk, and I jumped straight into a fucking pole. And
because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Because we had like we could shorten the rims and everything. I jumped straight into the pool. I was dumb as hell. I was like probably wild, and jumped straight into the pool. Definitely hurt my head for the day, and was not concussed, I don't believe. But look at how my life turned out.
But
so I will say I hope Cedric Ceballos could see during that dunk. But let's move on to, of course, Michael Jordan, who I think. Like as crazy as it is, because like it shouldn't matter, but I think his winning the dunk contest over Dominique Wilkins and everything is like part of the Michael Jordan mystique. And I think that's like almost too often brought up as like part of Michael Jordan is his entry in the dunk contest and winning those dunk contests.
And the free throw line.
I think he won those two, and he had entered once before. And so Michael Jordan,
he had like the 1 year he like wore the warms, but obviously I think it was like that.
So he entered as a rookie and did not win, but he won in 87 and 88 and then never entered again, thank God.
Like he got.
No, it would have been cool if he did.
He got the posters. He sold the shoes. They actually.
Michael Jordan had 3 in a row because the Kenny Walker one. Remembered, like there was a whole story to Kenny Walker winning, and it was like for his dad and everything like that.
But like for Michael Jordan, it was just this whole thing too. It's like even to this day. So Nike, like for the Jordan 3, which he wore in '88, they have one that literally has like a stripe on the toe of like where his toe like took off for the free throw line dunk. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's such an iconic thing for him, but
he did. So as a rookie, he lost to Dominique Wilkins. That was like an all-star game where I think you could say it was raining shit on Michael Jordan. Lost to Dominique Wilkins and then got frozen out in the actual game.
Yeah, that's right.
I wonder if his life ever recovered.
Well, he took that pretty personally, but like
he did.
Yeah, Michael Jordan is just it's so like iconic, but then when you like look at it like compared to everybody in the dunk contest, there's definitely somebody who like stands out above as a number one. But someone in Chicago holding it down with some pretty solid dunk contest appearances is Zach Levine.
Yes, and Zach Levine is just like the explosive ability of Zach. Like he can just fly.
Smooth. Like I think like smooth at like his like just the way he kind of like operates at his size. Going like he said some pretty good.
Zach Levine is just I think he kind of like rejuvenated some excitement for the dunk contest.
And he has a chance at the 3-point contest this year, so he can.
Yeah.
So we can.
And he made the All-Star game, man.
Yeah, so everything's coming up for him right now. But no, definitely he's had some. He's made
Zach Levine winning those 2 in a row, and he was just like they were great performances. They were just really, really great performances. And, you could say what you will about, like, I feel like Aaron Gordon kind of got screwed there, like, with the score, and Zach getting like just straight up, like, perfect scores pretty much every time. But yeah, he just, his aerial ability and like the whole package, he's a special vertical athlete. And yeah, I actually played basketball with somebody when I was still living in Toronto. I played at the JCC with somebody, and he told me that his like nephew or something had played against Zach Levine. And this was when Zach Levine was still in high school in Washington. And he said that he felt Zach Levine's like junk go over his head during a game, and just was like, I like never had seen somebody like do that. And I never wanted to feel it again, really. But yeah,
for anybody, but like, yeah, it's that ability to just get up like so quickly, so confident, like,
yeah, and then do a lot of cool things while he's in the air. It just always looks so cool.
But obviously the number one dunk contest competitor of all time never defended his title because he never needed to.
Yeah,
like LeVar Ball never lost. We're talking harder because that was just
amazing. So I watched Vince's over again, and it was funny because on that last dunk he got like a 48. He like went off from like definitely like well inside the 3-point or the free throw line, and dunked with two hands, just because that was all he needed to win. Like, Steve Francis had a kind of a so like little final, and I know he flat out says it's like they didn't want me to win. Trace McGrady, I think, botched his second dunk. So yeah, Vince just had to do that little two-handed dunk. But his first four, that was where it was just, he was fantastic. So I'll say, like, part of, I think, why it was so cool. One was Vince Carter didn't have a chance to have an all-star game as a rookie because it was a lockout shortened season. They didn't have an all-star game. Hey, you could have maybe thrown that in there this year. But he was, so I think he was the leading vote getter in the all-star game. And he was such an exciting in-game dunker. And the other thing that I think really kind of like helped the whole mystique of it as well is, first off, he did have like some really good people he was going up against with T-Mac and with Steve Francis. And they made the rule that I thought was kind of cool was making one of your dunks like kind of an alley-oop, or like, somebody helping you out. That I'm cool with. That was a gimmick I thought worked, at least for like one of your dunks. You don't need to do it for every single one. As cool as an alley-oop is in real life, but he made them all, I think he made them all on his first attempt. And that, I think, made it a little more special.
Oh, of course, because each time you miss, it like decreases it just a little bit. And if you get to that like Birdman Nate Robinson level where it's like, when he was trying to, I think it's Chris, Birdman was trying to throw it off the Jumbotron.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And you're like, okay, 4 hours later, he did it. You're like, yeah.
Like when you see a joke in a movie, like in a preview, and you're like, oh, that joke is funny. And then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, it's still pretty funny, but like, I'd already seen it
like 1,500 times. Yeah.
And like missing the first dunk is like a preview. So like it's the completion of the dunk. I don't think it should be something that's like penalized as much as like, like a bad judge like Shaquille O'Neal might like, penalize a dunk for a miss or something like that. But yeah, it shouldn't be penalized at least too harshly. But I think making it on the first attempt was amazing. And not only that, like I'm wearing a Kobe Bryant shirt. The year Kobe Bryant won the dunk contest, it was super boring. Like it wasn't a good dunk contest.
It was like a couple of years or a year after the Brent Barry winning a dunk contest.
Yes, where he did the same dunk twice. And yes, It was a cool dunk, and he was wearing a shooting shirt for some reason.
Yeah, 'cause it is
Great. An old Clippers shooting shirt. You couldn't dunk without that.
it's cool.
But yeah, he went all Larry Bird and still took off from the free throw line. We get it. But yeah, so the year after Kobe hit the dunk contest, and I think the guy that he beat was Chris Carr. So it was Michael Finley, Chris Carr, Ray Allen, Bob Shura, Darvin Ham. And Darvin Ham had won a dunk contest in college, I think, by like.
He was a solid dunker.
He had destroyed a backboard in college. Like Darvin Ham, yeah, did some cool things. But they decide that next year, they're like, yeah, let's not do the dunk contest anymore. I don't think people really like it. And like, it's getting a little old. It's getting, the dunks aren't getting original. So Vince coming back after 2 years not having the dunk contest. So straight up not having it in 1998 when they tried some new things that I think failed miserably. 1999, no All-Star game. 2000, you get Vince Carter back. He does the reverse 360. He does another 360 that from behind the backboard. He did the it's over between the legs from Tracy McGrady. By the way, really good pass from Tracy.
Oh, that was how much he didn't probably want to do it because he's like, I can win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And them being in the contest together. But and I think Tracy could kind of see the way things were going there. As great as an athlete as he was as well. But and the other cool thing they had in that dunk contest was they measured the vert. And I just wonder, because Steve Francis measured with the highest vert, and he and Vince Carter, I think, were like 3-4 inches in height difference. But I wonder what the reach difference was. That would be my one thing, and to kind of compare how high they got on each dunk. But
I think that the thing for Vince too is that he did dunks that were just we have not seen before.
Yeah, and so
as each dunk contest goes on,
the most famous dunk he probably does, I guess I think the most well-known one is the elbow in the rim, and I remember seeing that and I was like, did he just do like a normal dunk?
Yeah, I know.
Like, what just happened? And then you saw the elbow in the rim and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's a thing. That's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely like,
it's a sick dunk.
That was cool. I had heard that apparently he, like, to me, dunk theft isn't really a thing, and it's just something you kind of share with the community. Once you've done a dunk, like, just expect somebody is probably going to try and do it. But yeah, I remember Slam saying that there was a player, I think he ended up playing for UMass, named Jamil Pugh, who had first thought of that, and they said Vince stole it. If it's true, who cares? Yeah. But Vince Carter did it in an NBA dunk contest. Yeah. He's the first.
But I will say I did see that
dunk contest.
I did see that dunk, the honey dip as it is known. I did see that dunk be performed at the 2006-2007 Oregon Midnight Madness. They had a dunk contest. Oregon basketball legend Adam Zahn, who was like athletic, but obviously like pull off. He did the honey dip. And that was
I hope he lost the dunk contest.
I don't think he did win either. I think someone else totally won, but it was.
But yeah, so with the fact that you have a player like Cassius Stanley, who was the 54th pick in the NBA draft, and is I think he's on a two-way. He was playing in the G League.
Yeah, he's like in the G League, called him up. Like, so it's kind of like he's going to probably bounce back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. So here are just a few guys who we think are high flyers who we wish would sign like a 10-day just to be in the dunk.
Yeah, put them on give them a temp and just let them do what they can do at the All-Star.
My first person, I think just somebody special to Jason and I honestly think that this guy can get to like high points that other people just can't really get to. And he has one of like the highest vert reaches I've ever seen at like a combine. And that's Kenny Wooten. And Kenny Wooten, a few times every game, would jump so high that you were afraid he was going to get flipped over and die. Usually on a block shot, but yeah,
they have like a volleyball like block shot competition of like getting up high and just spiking the ball. Like, yeah,
he just special vertical athleticism. As we know, he jumped like 42 inches at the G League Combine as well. And I think had like a 9 foot or so standing reach. So yeah, I think his like vert reach was somewhere in like the 12.6, 12.7 range, which is just absolutely crazy and puts him in, I think, rarefied air amongst everybody else in the world. So yeah, I think one thing that would be cool is just trying to dunk on like the highest net, like almost like a high jump kind of thing. I think that could get a little boring, but nonetheless, it would be kind of interesting, kind of like Guinness Book of World Records-y.
it's cool to know and see the final results. Like, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
but yeah, it'd be cool to see like,
yeah. Like as much as Dwight's 12-foot dunk didn't really interest me that much. Like it was kind of, he threw it off the backboard, it kind of like hit the rim, and he still made it, and it was cool. But yeah, I just think Kenny Wooten would be so much fun in a dunk contest, and I want to see what that guy could do. Another person who is just, it's like pretty much a shame just because he was like the craziest vertical athlete, is DJ Steffens. And he did play like sometime in the NBA. Yeah, like he only played 4 games, but he is just like another, like Kenny, like he's just one of those guys who's just like the craziest athlete. And I know that he was at a combine where he tested with, I think he was the highest person when they had the whole database of max vert reaches when Draft Express used to have it. I think DJ Steffens was the highest guy there, and I think would just be so much fun in an NBA dunk contest. And then the last person that we're going to throw out, and just somebody who was always just so explosive throughout his high school career, and somebody I know Jason is really fond of, Jalen Mchugh.
Yeah.
And Jalen Mchugh also, I think, rights still owned by
Pacers. I think he's on the
Pacers. Yeah. So the fact that the Pacers have like the two craziest vertical athletes.
Yeah, I think like Jalen Mchugh, I mean, again, like when we saw him like the first time like at EYBL, it was like that Russell Westbrook type like speed to burst like ratio. Yeah. Like, how is this kid like up there right now, like dunking?
And just the vertical athleticism, I think, was really, really impressive. Like from either like a standing position or definitely like with a head of steam, he was just crazy.
Also, again, like he has that intrigue for a dunk contest of like that, like his like height to where he ends up like ratio is very big. So it's like
when he was trying out for U18s, they were doing vertical measurements, and his standing vert was 37 inches, which is crazy. And then his max, I think, was 43. And so, yeah, the guy has some serious ups. And I would think would clear the Vertec. For those that don't know, the Vertec is usually 12 feet. And that's just how they have the machine. So if you clear the Vertec, you need to, I guess, find something to just raise it up a little bit more so you can actually measure your vertical leap properly. But yeah, so those are 3 guys that I think, you know, if you would have gotten our 3 contestants this year and then those 3, they would be a lot of fun. And then finally, we want to talk about some 2021 NBA draft prospects who should be in the dunk contest over the next few years. And I would say the guy that I think is like kind of like a Derek Jones Jr.-esque dunk contest kind of person, like just somebody that I would take in a dunk contest, is Greg Brown III. Now, the amazing thing with Greg Brown III this year is that he plays on a team in Texas that has 2 players, like, because he plays, unfortunately, like an inordinate amount of I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say he plays tons of small forward. He does usually kind of play the 4, but he is ultimately. I'm surprised. He only has 13 in-game dunks this year, and now he takes like his 3-point rate is something that I just didn't see coming. But yeah, takes tons of outside shots, and I guess that's kind of what may prep him for the next level. I'm not completely sure. But the thing that Greg Brown has always stood out for is that crazy vertical athleticism. And he's just like in transition, some of the dunks that he would do during USA basketball and during high school and during EYBL. He can really get up. A dunk that I had seen Greg do multiple times that was really cool is he does the double elbow in the ring.
Ooh, okay, that's pretty hard.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard.
And that's what's up with him. And yeah, his vertical athleticism just very crazy. And he would be the guy that I think there are other people when you factor in like better like athletes than Greg Brown in this draft, like when you consider everything. But in terms of like dunk contest, vertical athleticism, he is, I would think, still my number one guy. Have a few others. A couple from Tennessee. Keon Johnson is a fantastic athlete and has done some really cool dunks, especially being like, a wing player, able to throw down alley-oops. And I think he just has some really impressive like speed, strength, agility, vertical athleticism. Like he's somebody that I think could eventually be in a dunk contest. Yves Ponce is also a stupid vertical athlete, has 23 dunks this season, but just, he's crazy. He's like he's basically a 6'6" center. And you think he can pull it off because he's crazy strong and has so much vertical pop. So another guy who I would look forward to being in a dunk contest. And then Jalen Green is somebody who I think is a tremendous athlete. I don't know how many dunks he has in with G League Ignite so far. But,
didn't they used to do like a little showcasey all-starry?
Yeah, they definitely they would have in the G League dunk contest. That's another thing I want to bring up. G League dunk contest, NCAA dunk contest, McDonald's dunk contest. They're fantastic. Yeah. They're great. Like they're really good dunk contests. They may not have the prestige and like the star, I guess like hubbub of the NBA All-Star dunk contest. But yeah, those are some really good ones and usually have a lot of fun dunks and some great athletes. But yeah, I don't think they're doing a G League All-Star game this year. But yeah, Jalen Green is somebody that I could see being in a dunk contest eventually, and a great vertical athlete also, who can certainly do some things while he's in the air. And then Tavion Kinsey is very crazy, and I think he is leading the NCAA like in terms of like guys being like kind of like a wing player. He has 39 dunks this season, and he's like when Marshall has had their dunk contests, he's done some really cool things. He did this one dunk that was kind of like a fake between the legs that looked really cool. So he like kind of like, I guess, stunted doing between the legs and still ended up doing a really cool, like powerful dunk. A couple others that I think deserve a little bit of consideration. James Bouknight only has 9 dunks this season, but is just a really nice vertical athlete. And
on some of his tape from like last year, previous year.
Yeah,
he has had a few pretty.
Somebody who can fly. A couple guys who have quite a few dunks and are really good athletes. I'm not sure about dunk contest athletes, but I think there's certainly an outside chance. Evan Mobley is somebody who gets off the floor extremely well.
You have a lot of alley-oops as well. Like he's really Does a great
So
job.
he has 50 dunks this season. And so he's one of the leaders in the nation. Kai Jones is one of the players who has more dunks than Greg Brown. Greg Brown has 13. Kai has 35. Jericho Sims, I think, has even more than Kai. But yeah, Kai Jones is just another amazing mover and has some great vertical athleticism. And like some of the stuff he's been able to do just like off of the bounce, getting dunks is really stands out. And then, yeah, another great dunker, obviously, from the G League is Jonathan Kuminga. And yeah, he's a great athlete. I'm sure he does some cool stuff when it comes down to like a dunk contest. So yeah, those are just a few guys from the NBA draft who I could see being dunk contest possibilities. The last thing I want to shout out is I feel like there are like some big guys who never entered the contest, and big guys don't usually win these things, like Dwight being the exception.
Like you're already so high up. If you only need to go so far to be and again, it's
cool stuff, man.
It becomes more of a power versus finesse kind of thing with a lot of the big dudes.
So a concept I kind of think would be a little cool is take the standing reach between the shortest person in the dunk contest and the big guy, put the net up to that height, and then see what the big guy would be able to do. Because I feel like they'd still be able to do some really cool stuff, and it would be on a higher hoop. So I don't know. I think I don't know. Just a concept I would throw out there. Maybe even having one with big guys who have like have it on like an 11-foot hoop rather than a 10-foot one, and then see who wins out of that. Going up against each other. But yeah, like these are the guys that just got like tons of dunks. So that's another thing. Like DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard both entered the contest. Giannis is another guy who I think would be really interesting in the contest too, just because of how much he dunks. And I know his brother is probably the better contest dunker at the masses. But yeah, these are just big guys who I think I would have loved to have seen in a dunk contest. And I'll start with Shaq. And I know Shaq did the 360 in the All-Star game, and he's not the most like creative dunker, but he dunked so much, and he was a great athlete.
Yeah, he kind of had his signature dunk too, though, like where he did it like with his knees, like were kind of like.
Maybe with Shaq, you like should have Chris Dudley there, like to dunk on. That was another concept, like because if you're worried about injuring yourself during an NBA All-Star game dunk contest, what if you had somebody trying to block your shot? That would just be way more dangerous and lead to way more like more injuries.
Yeah, no, Shaq would definitely get a good shove off, and that would probably get him a couple inches higher. I think for him,
I think it would have been fun. He wouldn't have won, but it would have been fun.
He probably would have danced. He was like
Shaq definitely would have danced.
Shaq's an entertainer. He's aware of like what's going on, in the.
I'd say his dancing at the All-Star game is still a definite highlight. When he did the showdown with Dwight Howard and LeBron, like that was dope.
I thought he was part of the Jabberwockies.
Yeah. When he did that wasn't as fun anymore. But David Robinson is another person who like just would dunk tons during games, and it would be tough, but I feel like they could bring a few things out. Hakeem Olajuwon was just so graceful and did some great dunks as well. I'm guessing footwork would be involved.
Yeah,
and
some fancy footwork.
Yeah, I know Kevin Garnett obviously had a high school year with Ronnie Fields, who was known as this tremendous dunker in high school. And I still feel like Kevin Garnett would be a cool dunk contest contestant.
I think of like the early days of Kevin Garnett in his career would have been like, yeah, he was
sure. Yeah, when KG was really young. Yeah. That would have been cool. And then I know obviously the dunk contest wasn't around, but wouldn't you want to see Wilt Chamberlain in a dunk contest?
Especially for a couple of factors with him as well. High jumper by trade. That was what he was known for. athletically, in addition to basketball. And then also, had his year with the Harlem Globetrotters as well. Probably had some sort of, even though he kind of still got to be Wilt, he was more of a big, but like some sort of, ball control, something cool. You can think of him like bringing out like a teammate or something to do, could spin the ball in the finger or something, something that like really just like brings it up. And
I heard early on that Wilt, instead of shooting free throws, would jump from the free throw line. And then they would let people enter the lane because he was doing that. And he is just like, he was such an incredible athlete. You watching him run and jump like back in those days, like he's just on a different level than everybody else.
Think about like how much the game changed. Like if he got to, have those athletic skills in this environment.
I mean, he's like a timeless athlete.
Yeah.
Like I think he would have been fantastic no matter what era he was in. And yes, like you look at him and like it's a little more awkward, and he wasn't a good free throw shooter, and like you could talk about skill set and everything like that. Like the players back then, the game was different. It was a little bit more weird and it was a little less fluid. But yeah,
have all the sort of the coaching.
Yeah, the coaching innovations,
like those kind of
innovations.
So, yeah, like when you think of him in this era, you're like, dang, when you're really encouraged to like dunk, and especially like for some of these guys, you think of Shaq, like his dunks were disrespectful, like, and that was cool. Whereas like in those days there weren't as many dunks, let alone like just straight up dunks in people's faces, like Shaq just like going over Chris Dudley, shoving him into this like 4 rows up in the stands, like that. It's definitely a different thing that he didn't have the ability to have at that time. So he was not able to like throw it down with the authority he probably could have either.
Yeah, the ridiculous thing is from, I think it was 1967 to 1976 in the NCAA, they disallowed the dunk.
Yeah.
It was called the Lou Alcindor rule, and it was because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was so dominant. But yeah, let's never disallow the dunk again.
Yeah.
I think the dunk is one of the greatest plays in basketball. I think its momentum can change a game, and like it brings a lot of excitement. I know that I've been caught on camera with a few times, like with my reaction to dunks and everything like that, and I still get really excited when there's like a great dunk, when you get a guy like Marvin Bagley or Michael Porter Jr. with their head at the rim, or get an exciting player or somebody you didn't really expect to throw down from outside the key near JT Thor in like a Brian Garacki. So yeah, it's
I was like shooting, if you're just shooting, like at the gym and some guy comes in that can dunk, it's cool. Like it's just,
oh, for sure.
It's cool. And I also think like that one time again we saw like Nick Young playing in like kind of a pickup environment, and just seeing a dude like get up that quickly over people. Mm-hmm. Just like get out of my way.
Traffic, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm going above and beyond you.
Yeah. One more interesting thing I saw, and this was a little crazy, is especially with the narrative around them, which was very true. But Jahlil Okafor, I think, had 64 dunks as a freshman at Duke, and Karl Anthony Towns had 28. And obviously that like doesn't show, dunks definitely don't show everything, but yeah, it's still, it is like you tend to see as a sign of athleticism, and you want people to finish these plays off really athletically. And yeah, one last thing I will say is, for people saying that dunks aren't like analytics and that everything analytics is just like 3-pointers and everything like that, dunks are definitely analytics. And what people don't understand about analytics, or like the people who kind of demonize them, is yes, analytics are showing that open 3-pointers tend to get you the most points per possession, but the other thing that it really focuses on is the importance of shots at the rim.
Yeah,
and what the whole Michael Porter Jr., Facundo Campazzo, Jamal Murray pass at the end of the game. I don't think that was. I know people blame that on analytics. That wasn't analytics, because analytics was said, Michael Porter Jr., run to the basket. We're getting you the ball, sending it to overtime. I think that was hero ball. And to me, that's not analytics. So, I don't know. Or it was a little J.R. Smith moment, which I don't know if they didn't know time and score.
I'd rather have the J.R. Smith moments in the regular season than in the finals.
Very true. Very true. But yeah, it was, I know Jamal Murray was infuriated by the fact that they had this wide open path to the basket that they didn't use. But yeah, dunks definitely part of analytics, because analytics wants the easiest basket. They want high percentage plays. And a dunk tends to be very high percentage. And usually, unless you get the offensive foul, you could be headed to the free throw line. Dunks do sometimes lead to injuries, but a lot of the times, if a guy's going for a dunk, the chances are that they're probably have a clear path and they're going to score more often than not. And finally, we get to the point. We're wagering some huge money here. Jason, who do you have in the 2021 NBA dunk contest?
Obviously, Blazers homer. That I like Ant Simons. I think he has, again, that also he looks like he's 12. So all of those factors, and I think he just has that good burst. I think hopefully he brings, I don't know what he's planning and preparing for, but yeah, I hope he brings something exciting to the table, because who knows what his playing future is going to be like.
Yeah, we're going to link to the Twitter where he put on the dunk show, but I'm taking Cassius Stanley. I know he has no dunks in the NBA so far, but the guy just can absolutely fly, and I think he's going to probably put on a little bit of a show, which leads Obi Toppin to likely win the dunk contest, since we're both idiots.
Yeah, so everyone else is in Vegas right now. You put your money on Obi Toppin. We were giving you that by not choosing him. So
Obi Toppin goes to you guys.
Yeah, I guess goes to the field. But yeah, definitely should be an interesting, hopefully it's exciting. I mean, the thing is, as much as we're not necessarily excited about it, we're still gonna watch it and follow it. They
throwing ducks.
Again, Twitter, YouTube, they all come in for the highlights after. You can really get the abbreviated versions of anything you need now. It's so I feel like that's
Oregon. Why are you playing your game against Oregon State during the All-Star game? I'll never understand that.
I will understand that, because they didn't know there was going to be an All-Star game.
They knew.
That's why. But yeah, we'd love to know who's somebody that you would like to see in a dunk contest. We listed a few guys, and I'll open it up to historic as well. Who's one dude in the NBA? If that's the only qualifier, they had to have played in the NBA. But who's one player in the NBA, never participated in a dunk contest, that you would like to see give it a shot and throw down?
Or who's a dunker that you love, Kadurizani or Jordan Kilgannon or Guy Dupuis, Team Flight Brothers guys? Who's somebody that you'd like to see signed on a 10-day just so they can enter the dunk contest and show us some things that we've maybe never seen?
I would love to see
NBA dunk contest.
That would be fun. But yeah, this is All-Star game's happening, so definitely let us know your thoughts on the game after it happens. We will definitely give you our thoughts next week. But we are also getting very prepared for that NCAA tournament. So try to get your kind of early bracket feelers out there. Kind of see what sleepers you think you can start getting into now, because NCAA tournament is going to hit us before we know it. But yeah, that's our episode today. So thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking it out. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I am at Visenberg on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere you can find anything. If you want to follow Michael, he is at NBA Draft Mikey V. You want to follow the two of us, 2-for-1 shot, that's at Viseland. You can also shoot us an email if you have any comments, you want to just talk some basketball, or you want to just, tell us what we were wrong about, that you think, quote unquote, that we were wrong about. Because again, we do have a fact checker here, and he usually confirms 100% accuracy. But you can also email us at viselandpod@gmail.com. So definitely shoot us, leave us a comment if you're listening to this on iTunes, SoundCloud, whatever. Leave us a review. We super appreciate it. We thank you guys for stopping by each week. And yeah, we're pretty excited because we are kind of in this point where we are nearing our 52nd episode. We are on the hunt for it. We're pretty close. We're at 43 right now. So, you know, that would mean 1 year of this podcast. So we couldn't have done that without the help of everybody. So thank you guys so much. Have a good week, everybody. See you next week.